Alright, so I'm actually filming on my cell phone at the moment. It's about to storm, so I didn't want to risk bringing my good camera out here and it getting rained on. So I have been fertilizing the garden. We actually got some rain overnight. Well, early this morning. I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and I could hear it pouring out here. And you can see up there, it's getting ready to do it again, it looks like. And so while we had a break, I came out here to put out fertilizer because the rain will water it in for me. And right now, I'm salting my tomatoes. So I'm putting Epsom salt at the base of my tomatoes, about a tablespoon or so for every plant. Epsom salt is magnesium, which is something that tomato plants need to be healthy. My bee balm has started to open. So cute. Hey guys, so as you just saw, it is now storming. So I thought I would just take a few minutes to work on my little crochet project. I filmed a little video clip, or I shared a little clip of me working on this, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. And I had several questions in regards to what stitch it was that I was doing in this. This stitch is called an iris stitch. See it right here. I enjoy crocheting. I find it very relaxing. But I'm not a pro at it. I had some people a while back say how to do crocheting videos. I am not skilled enough to do that. But I do enjoy doing it. And I shared a video, gosh, it was back when we first moved out here. Mr. Smith was overseas. He had just retired from the Army. And I was doing kind of like weekly sort of coffee chats. And I shared the story of Miss Margaret and how she is the reason I started crocheting all those years ago. And if you are interested in hearing the story of Miss Margaret, I will put a link to that video down below or up here in a card if you're watching it on YouTube. And you know, I love to do big projects, but I don't do big projects very often. I have a few like larger blankets that I've done. My favorite things to crochet are small things that you can, you know, quickly see the results of what you're doing. I've sewn a lot of scarves in the past. I used to actually sell them on Etsy, and I've given, I would say just about every person I know has gotten a scarf from me that I have crocheted, but you can only give away so many scarves, and so I've decided that now, instead of scarves, I'm just going to work on baby blankets, because baby blankets are still relatively small projects. And you know, one of the reasons I like doing small projects is because I think it's a great way to practice different stitches. You know, I had just seen about this iris stitch, and you know, I can do a baby blanket like this with the stitch and get that stitch down and then move on to something else. And people are always having babies. I mean, you can always find somebody to give a baby blanket to. And, you know, if you don't know somebody who's having a baby, then there's always organizations that could be donated to, like pregnancy centers and things like that. And so I just decided to start crocheting baby blankets instead of scarves. So like I shared in that video, you know, I learned the basics of crocheting from Miss Margaret. And since then, to learn different techniques, different stitches, I find the easiest way is to watch YouTube videos. You can find so many fantastic tutorials of different stitches. That's where I learned about this iris stitch and watched a video. I have a few different channels that I enjoy watching, and so if you are curious about crocheting or would like to see some of the videos, I will put a link down below to the video where I learned about this one, as well as a couple of the other channels that I am subscribed to for that. I think I'm subscribed to maybe 4 or 5 crocheting channels. Another great way to practice stitches is making homemade dishcloths. Just using cotton yarn, because the crocheted texture of the wash rags, dish rags, are really great for scrubbing dishes. Of course, it's a much thinner yarn that you use for that, because you don't usually find thick cotton, and really you want it to be able to dry quickly anyways. But just crocheting dish rags is a great way to practice new stitches as well. Well, it sounds like this wave of storms is starting to move on out. It's getting quiet out there now. We ran out there earlier and did all of our chores a little early because we knew it was coming. A friend of Mr. Smith's lives out in Texas, and they had this same system a couple days ago, and he said it was not fun. So hopefully it doesn't get too bad. We definitely needed the rain though, so this morning I woke up at about 4 o'clock to the sound of rain outside, and I know my garden was very much appreciating it. We needed a good solid soaking of rain. Rainwater is always better for your garden than, you know, tap water. It just is. I do always kind of stop and check about halfway through each row just to make sure I didn't make a mistake somewhere, because it's easier to undo part of a row to fix a mistake than it is to go back and undo multiple rows. I've had to do that before, so I learned my lesson pretty quickly on to pause every so often and double check your work, just like we used to do in math class when I was a kid. Check your work. Got the dogs in there in the living room. You can probably hear them munching, eating their dinner. Well, we got some rain, 3 3/4 inches today. The garden needed it, But this right here is why I like my raised beds so much. The yard is flooded, and my raised beds aren't. Hey guys! So it has been work for the last couple of days. Yesterday I was out there painting in the greenhouse, and I realized this morning that when I was washing, I missed a spot. I still got some paint on my elbow and on my leg. And you can see it's a little foggy. It's super humid. It stormed yesterday, stormed this morning. We got 3 3/4 inches of rain yesterday. I haven't checked the rain gauge yet to see how much we got overnight. But lots of rain, great for the garden. So I've just been out here doing a little bit of maintenance, doing some pruning, some tying up of plants again. Last night I came out here and I tied up all of my sunflowers because they were talking about some straight line winds coming through, and I didn't want my sunflowers to snap. So I tied every one that I could to cattle panels or trellises or something solid. But I just finished up out here in the front garden, and now I'm going to head on out to the big garden and see how things are doing out there. I haven't been out there yet this morning. Now, one thing I did do last night after the rain sort of stopped was I cut up an apple, and I put apple wedges in several of my raised beds out here because it was a trick that I saw about dealing with the sow bugs or pill bugs and trying to keep them from eating your seedlings, because I transplanted several of my plants out here in the last couple of days, the ones that I had restarted, because, you know, I've been thinking about all of those seedlings that I lost, and originally I thought they were birds, and I do still think I lost some to birds, but the sow bugs, the roly-polies, could also be culprits to that. And I do have a bunch of those in my raised bed, so I put the apples out there because they're like magnets for those. And I didn't find any sow bugs on the apples this morning, but I did find snails, so that worked for at least some of the snails, which was good. It hasn't been too much of an issue this year with the snails and the slugs. I have seen a few, but not like I have in the last couple of years. I did put out snail and slug bait this year before I even planted anything. I did the beneficial nematodes preemptively, and I did the snail and slug bait. Both of those are great for organic gardens. So we've got tomatoes out here. You can see right there. Check that out. These are some blue beauties, and you can see the lovely blue color developing on those. I think those were the first ones I've seen out here so far. And then, oh, there's a sucker. These things right here, where it comes up in the corner where you've got the main stem and a branch, and then you got this stalk that comes right up out of the center, these are suckers. This will grow an entire new tomato plant, and you don't really want those because it'll make your tomato plant way too bushy. You could stick this in water and let it root, and it'll start a whole new plant for you, but it's a good idea to remove those as you see them. So this is one of my volunteer sunflowers. I think it's the only volunteer out here in this garden, and it is getting up there. I think it's about 6 feet tall now. This one I did try to support last night before the storm came through. I stuck a couple bamboo stakes alongside it, Although the sunflower was so tall, I didn't think that those would really do anything. So I took some twine and I tied it all the way over there to that cattle panel, because a lot of the wind was coming from that direction, and so I felt like if a really strong one came through, at least that would give it a little bit of support. But it looks like we're good to go this morning. We didn't get too much of wind. We got a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And I'm still curious about this sunflower. It's got the additional flower heads that are coming up along the stalk. So this is either a lemon queen or a chocolate cherry. I hope it's a chocolate cherry because I love the chocolate cherry, but I like the lemon queen too. Either one, whichever one it is, I'm gonna love it. Hey guys, so I just actually got done taking a shower, blow dry my hair a little bit. It's actually still a little bit wet, but I wanted to come out here real quick and kind of wrap up this video. I'm kind of thinking the doorway of my greenhouse is going to be a great place in the afternoons because it's a little bit shaded and it's fairly quiet over here. Yes, this greenhouse is quickly turning into my happy place. I need to come up with a great name for it. It's kind of my sanctuary. My sanctuary at a Good Life Farm. But anyways, I was out in the front garden working on a project today. Came up with something else that I wanted to add to the front garden. And so I was working on that today. I will finish it up tomorrow morning, and tomorrow I will also be filming my weekly garden tour, which will go up this weekend. And I have company coming over. I actually had visitors out to the farm today too, so it has been a very busy couple of days. Lots of visitors yesterday. One of the visitors actually gave me a gift, something for the garden, which is part of what I was working on today. And so I will share that in the garden tour when I film that. I've got a visitor coming out tomorrow as well. And so it's just been a very busy few days. I did run an errand today, ran and got some hay from the feed store, and when I was there I noticed they had railroad ties. A lot of places around here have been out of them, and railroad ties is what I'm wanting to put around the greenhouse to create the garden beds. So I'm actually going to be busy the next few days, not only with my company coming over, but I have a deadline for the magazine I write for coming up here swiftly. And so I will be working on that stuff, so I'm not going to have time to work on extra things for the next several days, but hopefully they will still have railroad ties when I am ready to work on the flower beds out here. Otherwise they will just have to wait. We'll just have to see. But in any case, I want to quickly say thank you to everyone who gave me fantastic suggestions on the flashlight that I was looking for. Spotlight, predator finder light. There were a ton of suggestions, and ultimately I decided to reach out and ask Todd from that 1870s homestead what he would suggest. Several of you mentioned O-lights, and he mentioned an O-light as well, but he gave me a very specific one that he said was like the one. And so I have already ordered that, but there were some really fantastic suggestions, all different types of flashlights that were recommended. So if you are looking for some flashlights, check out my last video. I will put a link down below or up here in a card if you're watching on YouTube, and check out some of those great flashlight suggestions. So that is it. I am going to head into the house and make dinner. And just relax. Been a long couple of days long outside hot days, and so I'm going to just relax the rest of the evening. So thanks for joining me here again at A Good Life Farm. I will talk to y'all next time.